Well, over the last few days and weeks, there has been a huge debate about whether Parliament's canteen should continue its food subsidy. A food committee of MPs, in fact, decided that it must continue despite widespread criticism that this is not needed. MPs, for instance, pay just 18 rupees for a mutton cutlet and 5 rupees for a plate of boiled vegetables. Leading the protest against this subsidy has been BJD MP Jay Panda. But now more than 12 MPs, led by the CPIM's MP Rajesh, have asked Jay Panda to first give up big benefits and concessions, as they put it, that his family-owned company had received earlier, which included a loan waiver of 2,300 crore rupees. Joining us on the program today is Jay Panda, and with us also as well, CPIM MP Rajesh. I'll take this question to you, Mr. Rajesh, first, because Jay Panda has been talking about the need for MPs to set an example and give up this subsidy, especially at a time when the government is appealing to citizens to give up their LPG subsidy. But you've taken this to the next level. In a sense, you've made it personal. How did you decide that you would make this correlation? Why make this correlation between what Jay Panda is calling old allegations and his demand to have MPs give up this subsidy? Mr. Rajesh.
Number one, we are completely in agreement with the demand that there should be no subsidized food for MPs. And when this issue came up, and House Committee, or I think the Food Committee, held a meeting, our Rajya Sabha Chief Whip, Comrade T.K. Rangarajan, had made it categorically clear that CPIM is not for subsidized food for MPs. So that is our stated position. And we have taken this position earlier also. But MPs individually or voluntarily cannot give up the subsidies. It is for the Speaker and for the government to decide. So we have made our stand clear, that the CPIM has made it clear that we are ready to give up the food subsidy. Number two is that we don't want to take this into a personal level. Mr. Jay Panda wrote a letter to us, and we replied to him, and we had to mention some of the issues in which he and his family-run business are involved, because we think that it is not morally proper, or he has no moral authority to advise people like us to give up food subsidy, because we have already expressed our willingness to give it up, and we had directly put some questions, as some simple and direct questions to Mr. Jay Panda, whether you will be giving up the huge benefits of loan waiver and tax concessions, etc. And he is asking for a symbolic sacrifice, and we are asking for a much bigger sacrifice from people like Jay Panda. It's not symbolic sacrifice we can all do. It's not a big thing. And we are asking for a much bigger sacrifice of giving up all such benefits.
Let me take that to Jay Panda. Then, Jay, you said that you're disappointed with this letter that your colleagues are circulating. But their point is that you need to practice what you are practice what you preach, what you are asking them to do. There's a principle involved here. How would you respond firstly to these allegations that your fellow colleagues are making?
Please give me time to respond to all of them. First of all, I respect Shri Rajesh and the other colleagues who have written this. And on many occasions, we have actually been on the same side of the issues and worked together. Secondly, the allegations that have been made regarding my family, there are two aspects I want to point out. They have their roots back in the 1980s when I was a teenager. So I don't know to what extent I should answer, but nevertheless, let me answer. Mr. Rajesh may not be aware of all the facts. The fact is there was no loan waiver. There was a corporate debt restructuring where there was no malfeasance. This was settled by the courts of the land. And he is asking for giving up. He's probably not aware that my family members, including myself, we did forfeit and surrender our shares, 50% of our shares, to make that rehabilitation possible. So he may not be aware of all these facts. But the bigger issue is this. The bigger issue is, let us not distract from this issue about canteen subsidy, because it has become a sore point with millions of citizens out there who have been objecting to this. And I welcome Shri Rajesh's statement that his party, the CPIM, has been against the canteen subsidy to MPs. I will request him to also convey that to the Honorable Speaker. And I am also in agreement with him that when it comes to lower level staff, there are many lower level staff there who are not so well off. They must be given a food allowance so that they can continue to get some food benefits, and it should not be the MPs and others who can afford it who should not get. Now, I agree, this is a symbolic thing, and there are many other bigger things we need to grapple in Parliament itself. But the point is, there is a anger out there in the public against many elements of our long-standing VVIP culture. Now, this may be one of the smaller aspects, but this is something that is a lot of the public are reacting negatively to. I think we should listen to them and take some steps.
So, Jay, are you denying that your company got any concessions and this loan waiver of 2,300 crores? Are you saying that this matter has been misunderstood?
It is certainly partly misunderstood. There was no loan waiver, let me repeat. There was a corporate debt restructuring as per the norms and as settled by the courts of the land. So, there was absolutely nothing, no malfeasance, nothing wrong in it. And in any case, it predates my involvement. So, having given that clarification, I think it is unfair to keep digressing into these allegations which date back 30 years and have been refuted and have been settled in courts. I really think we ought to keep the discussion on the merits of this issue of whether Parliament canteen subsidy should continue, right, and if it should be reformed, how it should be reformed.
So I'll take that back to Mr. Rajesh. You heard what Jay Panda there said, Mr. Rajesh, that, referring to, something that happened more than 30 years ago, something that he says has been settled by the courts and has been misunderstood. He's saying you're digressing from the real issue, which is on the issue of this subsidy. And if you're serious about giving up this subsidy, then why don't you convey that to the Speaker, Mr. Rajesh?
I have made it clear that Mr. T.K. Rangarajan, our Chief Whip, has already conveyed it, has already made it clear. Let the Speaker take a decision. Let the government take a decision. So we are not distracting from the real issue. It is Mr. Jay Panda. I am sorry to say that. Let me politely say that it is Mr. Jay Panda who is distracting from the real issue. Yes, I said that this is a mere symbolic act, and we are ready to do that. And we are asking Mr. Jay Panda and people like him to go beyond this symbolic act. Are you ready for real sacrifices? Are you ready to give up all huge benefits and concessions people like you are receiving? I don't want to make it personal. And let me say, this corporate debt restructuring, etc., are the convenient terms used to cover up the subsidies. And when it is for the poor people, it is called subsidy, and when it is called for corporate, it is called incentives, and it is called debt restructuring. Whether a poor man, whether an ordinary man in India will be allowed to restructure his debts like this. So these are the real issues. So we are not distracting for real issues. And unfortunately, I have to say that people like Jay Panda, they are distracting from real issues. And I can tell that now I am doing this live from my home. And people like us, communist MPs like us, please come and see. I invite Mr. Jay Panda, please come to my home and you see how we are living, how modestly we are living.